ready.
You're ready. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here for our City Council meeting this evening. It's so nice to have many people here in the chamber, but I know that we especially have some scouts and families from Troop 4 in Beverly, and we're going to be getting to some resolutions celebrating Eagle Scouts from Troop 4, and we'll get to that at the top of our agenda once we call the meeting to order. But I want to say a special word of welcome to our scouts, to our Eagle Scouts, and to your families. So thank you so much for joining us. I always like to run through what's on the agenda before officially calling the meeting to order so that we can all have a sense of what's before us. And this is a very full agenda at the beginning with lots of wonderful things and wonderful content. So I will just talk through what we've got before us. As I mentioned, we do have those 5 resolutions celebrating 5 Eagle Scouts from Beverly. We do also have a presentation from the South Essex Sewerage District, SCSD. We have some speakers from the public who have signed up to speak during our public comment portion of the meeting. And for both our presentation and the public comment, I'll thank you in advance for what I am anticipating might be a bit of patience and flexibility, because we do have 3 public hearings posted for 7:30, 7:50, and 8 p.m. And we are legally required to take those public hearings at the time that they are posted. So we will get to those other speakers and presentations as quickly as we can, allowing for those public hearings. And then we have some routine business to take care of. We'll take a brief break for some subcommittee work. Then we'll be back to finish everything up. I'll also say a word of thanks, as always, to Kim in the BevCam booth, who is keeping our meeting live streaming and accessible for folks who are not able to join us in person. Thank you very much, Kim. We appreciate you. So with that, I'll officially call to order this regular meeting of the Beverly City Council, Monday, May 4th, 2026, 7:00 p.m. Ms. Kirker, will you please call the roll?
Crowley. Here. Feldman. Here. Hausman. Here. Milady.
Here.
Rotundo. Here. Sonia. Here. Spang. Here. St. Hilaire. Flowers.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Kirker. Councilor Feldman, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilor Feldman, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I did want to just take a moment and acknowledge some of our city staff who are here with us. Brian Ailes, our city finance director, is here. Thank you, Mr. Ailes. Darlene Wynn, our city planner, is here as well. Thank you, Ms. Wynn, for being here. And our city solicitor has been in and out, but Solicitor Olmixon is here in the building, and we'll welcome her officially when she's back in the room as well, and thank her for being here. Let's begin with our resolutions, as I mentioned. And before we come to our Eagle Scout resolutions, we do also have Order 130. Ms. Kirker.
Order number 130, retired firefighter John P. Murray and retired Deputy Chief Russell C. Halloran.
Thank you, Ms. Kirker. Councilors, you may have seen the cover letter that was with these resolutions explaining that we won't be reading these resolutions or presenting them in full this evening because they will be presented at a ceremony that the fire department is holding, and so we certainly don't want to steal the thunder of that special moment, but we do want to be able to officially approve these resolutions honoring these our firefighter and retiring deputy chief, and be able to thank them for their service by extension. So I would entertain a motion to approve Order 130.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. That carries 8-0, and of course our thanks and congratulations to both firefighter Murray and Deputy Chief Halloran, and we'll look forward to being able to celebrate with them and the rest of the fire department later this month. And then Ms. Kirker, Order 131.
Order number 131, 5 new Eagle Scouts from Troop 4 Beverly.
Thank you, Ms. Kirker. Councilor Feldman, you submitted these resolutions on behalf of the council, and thank you for that. I'd invite you to go to the podium to make the presentations to our Eagle Scouts.
I'm going to let an Eagle dad in first and an Eagle brother. Oh, thanks. All right. Troop 4, I say we because when I'm not in the evenings being a city councilor, I am also one of the assistant scoutmasters for Troop 4 in Beverly. And I have the honor of being able to say I know all of our Eagles here personally, which is really special to me. And I'm really proud of all of them and all their hard work. And also, congratulations to all of the Eagles and their families. I know how hard this work is. And I have to say, all of these young men are all extremely good examples to the younger scouts beneath them. So thank you. So I'm going to start with the things that are repeated, and I'm just going to say them once in the resolution, but everyone will have this in their official copy. So whereas these scouts have been outstanding, active, and involved members of Beverly's Scout Troop 4. Whereas the rank of Eagle is the highest advancement rank in scouting and requires scouts to fulfill requirements in areas of leadership, service, and outdoor skills, requirements which they have met with poise, determination, and excellence. Whereas to earn the rank of Eagle Scout, a scout must demonstrate the many skills required to move through the ranks of scouting on the path to Eagle: tenderfoot, second class, first class, star, and life, and must earn merit badges along the journey that cover a wide range of skills and knowledge, from first aid to citizenship, and must demonstrate their commitment to live by the Scout Oath and Scout Law as a sign of Scout spirit. So we will start with Sebastian Brulette, which I don't think he's here. So, yeah, no. So Sebastian is already off at Bentley, right? And so thank you for being here, and hopefully he can watch this. This is on BevCam too, so hopefully he can see this at some point in time in the future. So, whereas Sebi, he goes by Sebi, whereas Sebi attended Harbor Light Montessori, Beverly Middle School, and graduated from Beverly High School. He is now attending Bentley University. Whereas Sebi successfully completed the path toward Eagle, starting as a Cub Scout, earning his Arrow of Light in 5th grade, and going on to hold many leadership positions within the troop. Whereas Sebi embodies the character, the dedication to service and community, and the leadership skills that come with moving through the ranks of scouting and that are hallmarks of an Eagle Scout. Whereas Sebi developed and successfully completed his Eagle Scout project. The design, building, painting, and installation of new signage at Beverly Commons. Excuse me. Sorry about that. As well as the installation of a bench. This project, as well as the installation, included his work to obtain materials through local donations and to organize a team of volunteers to paint and then to prepare the signage, as well as the installation of the signage over the 5+ miles of trails. Whereas Sebi completed the requirements for and been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review and has earned the rank of Eagle in August 2023 with his Court of Honor in December 2023. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Beverly does hereby commend Sebastian Brulette for his excellence in community building, social, and scouting activities, and congratulates him on having earned the rank of Eagle Scout as a member of Beverly Troop 4, that the council wishes him all the best in his future pursuits and wishes him health, happiness, and continued success, and orders that the city clerk spread a copy of this resolution upon the city records. Congratulations to Sebi. All right. I'm not sure if Graham is not here. Is he not here? Well.
Councilor Feldman, just before you jump into the next one,
Yep.
I wanted to mention that while you were presenting the resolution for Sebi, Mayor Cahill also joined us. So I want to welcome Mayor Cahill and thank you for being here as we honor these Eagle Scouts.
All right. I don't think Graham is here yet, but this is a resolution in honor of Graham Deneen upon earning his rank of Eagle Scout. Whereas Graham attended Ayers Ryleside for his elementary years, followed by Beverly Middle School and Essex Tech for high school, where he is currently a senior. Whereas Graham successfully completed the path toward Eagle, starting as a Cub Scout, earning his Arrow of Light in 5th grade, and going on to hold leadership positions within the troop, most notably senior patrol leader. Whereas Graham embodies the character, the dedication to service and community, and the leadership skills that come with moving through the ranks of scouting and that are hallmarks of an Eagle Scout. Whereas Graham developed and successfully completed his Eagle Scout project, the cleaning and painting of the entrance kiosks and both gates for Beverly's Camp Paradise. This project involved working to obtain materials through local donations, develop a work plan, and organize a team of volunteers to paint and refinish the kiosk and gates. When I say a team of volunteers too, I just want to remind everyone, this team of volunteers is usually the younger scouts. So that in of itself is a huge achievement to be able to organize a team of younger teenage boys to be your crew for the day for a project. Whereas in the fall, Graham will be studying marine engineering at Massachusetts Maritime Academy. Whereas Graham has completed the requirements for and been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review and has earned the rank of Eagle on October 2023 with his Court of Honor in December 2023. Therefore, now be it resolved that the City Council and the City of Beverly does hereby commend Graham Deneen for his excellence in community building, social, and scouting activities, and congratulates him on having earned the rank of Eagle Scout as a member of Beverly Troop 4. That the council wishes him the best in his future pursuits and wishes him health, happiness, and continued success. Congratulations to Graham. All right, next up we have Ben Walsh, and he is here with his family. So Ben, if you want to come up here, I'd love it if you join us to be honored. Okay. Whereas a resolution in honor of Ben Walsh upon earning his rank of Eagle Scout. Whereas Ben attended Ayers Ryleside for his elementary years, followed by Beverly Middle School, and is currently a senior at Beverly High School. Whereas Ben successfully completed the path toward Eagle, starting as a wolf cub in 2nd grade, earning his Arrow of Light in 5th, and going on to hold leadership positions within the troop, most notably senior patrol leader. Whereas Ben embodies the character, the dedication to service and community, and the leadership skills that come with moving through the ranks of scouting and that are hallmarks of an Eagle Scout. Whereas Ben developed and successfully completed his Eagle Scout project, the design, building, painting, and installation of new signage at Beverly Commons Trails. This project, as well as the installation, included the work to obtain the materials through local donations and to organize a team of volunteers to paint and then prepare the signage, as well as the installation of the signage over the 5+ miles of trails. Whereas in the fall, Ben will be studying architectural engineering at, we now have it, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, so congratulations. At the time of filing, we had many fine choices to choose from, so. Whereas Ben has completed the requirements for and been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review and has earned the rank of Eagle on September 9th, 2025, with his Court of Honor in April 2026. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council and the City of Beverly does hereby commend Ben Walsh for his excellence in community building, social, and scouting activities, and congratulates him on having earned the rank of Eagle Scout as a member of Beverly Troop 4. And that the council wishes him all the best in his future pursuits and wishes him health, happiness, and continued success. So congratulations to Ben and to his whole family. Of course, it's going to be the last one. Congratulations. I should have scout shook you. Okay, next up, we have a resolution in honor of Joseph McManus. So if Joey wants to come up. They're all getting their shortened names. I know them well enough that that's what they Whereas Joey attended Ayers Ryleside for his elementary years, followed by Clark for middle school and high school, where he is currently a senior. Whereas Joey successfully completed the path toward Eagle, starting as a Cub Scout, earning his Arrow of Light in 5th grade, and going on to hold leadership positions within the troop, most notably senior patrol leader. Whereas Joey embodies the character, the dedication to service and community, and the leadership skills that come with moving through the ranks of scouting and that are hallmarks of an Eagle Scout. Whereas Joey developed and successfully completed his Eagle Scout project, the cleaning and painting of rooms at the People to People food pantry in Danvers. where he has volunteered for many years. This project involved working to obtain materials through local donations, developing a work plan, and organizing a team of volunteers to paint and then to reorganize all the shelving and storage once completed. Whereas in 2024, Joey received the Richard Courier Service Award for the troop, which is awarded based on the scout with the most community service hours that year. Whereas in the fall, Joey will be attending Gettysburg College and studying history. Whereas Joey has completed the requirements for and been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review and has earned the rank of Eagle on October 28th, 2025, with his Court of Honor in April 2026. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council and the City of Beverly does hereby commend Joseph McManus for his excellence in community building, social and scouting activities, and congratulates him on having earned the rank of Eagle Scout as a member of Beverly Troop 4. That the council wishes him all the best in his future pursuits and wishes him health, happiness, and continued success. Congratulations, Joey. I got a scout. Here you go. You got your... Okay. Last but not least, we have Noah Boudreau. If you want to come up. All right, a resolution in honor of Noah Boudreau upon earning the rank of Eagle Scout. Whereas Noah attended North Beverly Elementary for his elementary years, go Stars, followed by BMS and Gus for middle school, and is currently a senior at St. John's Prep. Whereas Noah successfully completed the path toward Eagle, starting as a Cub Scout, earning his Arrow of Light in 5th grade, and going on to hold leadership positions within the troop, most notably Assistant Patrol Leader. Whereas Noah embodies the character, the dedication to service and community, and the leadership skills that come with moving through the ranks of scouting and that are hallmarks of an Eagle Scout. Whereas Noah developed and successfully completed his Eagle Scout project, the design, building, and painting and installation of new signage at both Sally Milligan and Norwood Pond Trail systems. This project, as well as the installation, included his work to obtain materials through local donations and to organize a team of volunteers to paint and then to prepare the signage, as well as the installation of signage over the many miles of trails. Whereas in 2025, Noah received the Richard Courier Service Award for Troop 4, which is the award based on the scout with the most community service hours for that year. Whereas this summer, Noah will be a lifeguard for BevRec, using the skills he has acquired as a scout to keep our kids in our community safe. Whereas Noah has completed the requirements for and been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review and has earned the rank of Eagle on October 27th, 2025, with his Court of Honor in April 2026. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council and the City of Beverly does hereby commend Noah Boudreau for his excellence in community building, social, and scouting activities, and congratulates him on having earned the rank of Eagle Scout as a member of Beverly Troop 4. That the council wishes him all the best in his future pursuits and wishes him health, happiness, and continued success. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Councilor Feldman. Mr. Mayor, I don't want to put you on the spot, but want to invite you, if you want to be able to say a word of congratulations to our Eagle Scouts, I'd certainly welcome you to the podium if you'd like that opportunity.
Thanks, Madam President. I guess what I would like to say is I was a scout for a bunch of years, loved it, learned a lot by being a Boy Scout, never came within light years of Eagle. What you have accomplished is amazingly impressive. I think everybody who has looked out for you and helped to raise you deserves a lot of credit as well. And mostly, though, for you young folks who have just attained the rank of Eagle, it's an incredible accomplishment. I know that. And generally, it bodes well for what you're going to do next. So I appreciate the work that went into it. I also appreciate the projects that you've all undertaken that have really helped out our community. So thanks and congrats. Really enjoy and celebrate tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Councilors, I would entertain a motion to officially approve Order 131. That is the order with the 5 resolutions we just heard presented for our 5 Eagle Scouts. All those in favor? Aye. That carries 8-0, and those are officially approved. Congratulations to all our Eagles. I would entertain a motion for a 10-minute recess to allow our Eagle Scouts and families to have an opportunity for pictures or for gathering, chatting with councilors if they would like. And then you are certainly welcome to remain with us for as much of the meeting as you wish. You are also free to feel like you can leave if you would like to do so. We're happy to have you. We also understand you're busy and have homework and other obligations, so please feel free to leave during the recess if you would like as well. Motion to approve. All those in favor? Thank you very much. We'll be back for the public hearing at 7:30. Thank you, everyone. We'll call the full council back to order. And again, our congratulations to our 5 Eagle Scouts, and thank you again, Councillor Feldman, for preparing and presenting those resolutions on the council's behalf and helping us to celebrate our Eagles. So as I mentioned, we do have 3 public hearings that are posted beginning now. We'll open the first one. I know we have folks waiting to present and folks who are signed up for our public comment portion. And I thank you again for your flexibility. We will take those as quickly as we can following the legal posted times for the public hearings. So we'll begin with our 7:30 public hearing. This is on order 119. And I do want to mention before Ms. Kirker reads the legal ad, originally this would have been a joint public hearing with our planning board. I see planning board members are here with us. Thank you for being here. It was not posted as such, and so just to be abundantly clear and make sure that we are following the open meeting law and making sure that the public can follow the process, the city council will be having a public hearing on this order, and the planning board will be able to have that public hearing at their next meeting. So planning board members, thank you for being here. We apologize for the jumbled around schedule. So let's open that posted public hearing on order number 119. Please, Ms. Kirker.
Order number 119, City of Beverly. Notice is hereby given in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A, Section 5, that the Beverly City Council and Beverly Planning Board will hold a joint public hearing on Monday, May 4th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. in the City Council Chamber, City Hall, 3rd floor, 191 Cabot Street, Beverly, Mass., relative to proposed revisions to the City of Beverly zoning ordinance regarding accessory dwelling units as required by the Massachusetts Affordable Homes Act, Chapter 150 of the Acts of 2024, Section 8. Copies of the proposed amendment are on file in the Planning Department and the City Clerk's office, posted on the Planning Department's website, and are available for public review.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kirker.
And this was published in the newspaper on Friday, April 17th and Friday, April 24th.
Thank you. And there are sign-up sheets on the desk to my right near the other entrance to the council chamber. For this public hearing and the other 2, for members of the public who may wish to sign up to speak, we'll take those comments in the order that they are signed up for. And some of you may have noticed when Ms. Kirker read the legal ad, it was noticed that the planning board would be part of the hearing, but because the agenda does not include it, we want to be sure that we make sure that members of the public could reasonably anticipate that this would have been a joint public hearing. And so in an abundance of caution and transparent work, we're going to make sure that we just do the 2 hearings separately. So again, my apologies for that. And the city council will go ahead with our portion tonight. And I know that we have our city planning team. Our planning director, Darlene Nguyen, is here, as well as our assistant planner, Ken Clausen. So I'll invite you to the podium to get us started. Thank you.
Yes, Darlene Nguyen, Planning Director. I'm just literally going to get up here and introduce Kenneth Clausen, our Assistant Planning Director and staff to the Planning Board, and thank him for the work that he did on getting to this point. Unfortunately, we had passed a local ordinance, as you know, and during that same time, the state passed their own ordinance, and or passed their own regulations, and there were some details that we needed to align. And Ken's going to walk you through that, and hopefully it's very straightforward. Thank you.
Hi, Ken Clausen, Assistant Planning Director. Thanks for making the time and allowing me to speak about this. As we all know, in December of 2023, the City Council in Beverly passed an ADU ordinance, which is a zoning change to our zoning ordinance, which allowed ADUs by right in most single-family residential districts, allowing both attached ADUs and detached ADUs, removing the restrictions on who can live in an ADU to allow non-family members, requiring owner occupancy of one of the 2 dwelling units and 1 off-site parking space per ADU with no affordability requirement, and thoughtful unit dimensional requirements, including unit size, setback, and height. Zoning variances and expansion of non-conforming structures are not permitted in order to create an ADU. On the heels of that came the Acts of 2024, which the state of Massachusetts passed in August of 2024, which then allowed ADUs by right across the state in all zoning districts that allow a single-family residence. And in those acts came a few changes that conflicted with what the City Council had passed in 2023, which required, so the changes are that the main changes are the state is requiring by right ADUs in areas where residential housing is in the form of a principal dwelling is provided. It prohibited owner occupancy requirements, prohibits parking requirements within a half a mile of transit station, and enables ADUs to be approved as of right by a building permit or a special permit when needed. Those are the main changes that are in the zoning text that we provided. There's also a few minor changes to the definitions to meet these requirements as well. So basically what we did is we brought our ADU ordinance into not compliance, but in line with what the state had passed so that there's less confusion for everyone who wants to build an ADU in Beverly. And with that, that's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clausen. Thank you for that presentation. Councilors, are there any questions for Mr. Clausen at this point? Councilor Houseman.
Thank you, Mr. Clausen. And thank you to the folks you worked with on the ADU, because I know there was a whole team of people, volunteers, working on this section as well, generally. You said in compliance with or consistent with, can you sort of pick out notable differences and,
Yeah,
and why those differences might be present?
Yeah, so, and for example, in our ordinance, we had required an owner occupancy requirement where an owner of the, either had to live in the principal dwelling or the ADU. The state has prohibited that. We cannot require an owner occupancy, an owner be one of the occupants of either the ADU or the principal dwelling. That's one. The other one has to do with parking. We had required a parking space for every ADU. The state says that you cannot require a parking space if it's within a half a mile of a transit stop. That includes train stations as well as bus stops. Another one is the ordinance that we passed. Basically, if there was any kind of nonconformance, whether it be with the lot itself or the principal dwelling, that an ADU had to go to the ZBA for either a special permit, variance, or finding. Now, as long as the ADU itself meets all zoning requirements, it could go straight to building permit without any ZBA action or anything like that. That's the main changes.
So in addition to the main changes, Madam President, is there any variance whatsoever in any fashion between our ordinance and the state ordinance?
The only difference would be the state's what they call the protected use ADU. They had a size requirement of 900 square feet. Ours is 1,000, because that's what we had originally passed. So we allow ADUs up to 1,000 square feet or 1/2 of the gross floor area of the principal dwelling, whichever is smaller.
So nothing more restrictive?
Nothing more restrictive, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Other questions at this time from members of the council? Okay. There are no members of the public signed up to speak on the sign-up sheet, but were there members of the public who wish to speak in this public hearing this evening? Okay. Seeing none, I'll say thank you to you, Mr. Clausen, for that presentation. I'll close this public hearing and refer that back to our Subcommittee on Legal Affairs for further action. And we do have now some time before our next posted public hearing, which is at 7:50. In that time, I'll just welcome a few other members of our city staff who have joined us since I first welcomed some of our folks. Our Public Services Commissioner, Mike Collins, is here with us. Thank you very much, Commissioner Collins, for being here. Our City Council Budget Analyst, Mr. Jerry Perry, is here with us. Thank you, Mr. Perry. And our Fire Chief, Peter O'Connor, is also here with us. Thank you, Chief, for being here this evening. Could I ask folks from the SCSD about how long is your presentation?
It's at least 15 minutes before questions and answers.
Okay. I don't want to have to interrupt you for the public hearing to begin, so what I think I will do, if it's okay, is take our public comment, and we'll see if we can get those folks in. So these are public comment spots that are available at any regular meeting. Actually, I'm sorry, Councilors, I'd entertain a motion to take the agenda out of order to take the public comment. All those in favor? Thank you, that carries 8-0. These public comment slots are available at any regular meeting of the Beverly City Council. They can be signed up for no later than 9:30 the morning of the meeting by contacting the city clerk's office. They're first come, first serve, and You will hear public comment that can be up to 3 minutes per speaker. There are a total of 5 spots available at any meeting. They are not a question and answer or a conversational part of the meeting, so while you won't hear city councilors engaging in conversation with public speakers during this time, I always note that it's very important to us. We really appreciate having people come for this portion of our meeting, and we are listening very carefully, and what we hear from folks often does go on to inform our conversation and future work of the council. So I'd like to begin by inviting Alyssa McGill to come to the podium. And Councilor Crowley, you're our most recent Vice President. Councilor St. Hilaire is not here. Would you be willing to keep time for us? So you can come to the podium here. And you have up to 3 minutes. Yep, up to 3 minutes to speak. If you hear Councilor Crowley's timer go off, and this is for all of our public comment, if you hear the timer go off, we ask that you just draw your remarks to a close at that point, because we really do try to make sure everybody has a fair and equitable amount of time to speak. And if you could begin with your name and address for the record. Councilor Crowley, are you set? Okay.
Hi, I'm Alyssa McGill. I live on 182 Brimble Ave, and I'm turning 15 tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
I've been doing Kestrel's Conservation Club for around 4 years now, and I'm here to talk about making or opening a nature center at Camp Paradise. Camp Paradise is a home to a variety of different animals that is accessible for the public to learn from. I know the place by heart. I've been there many times, and there is this vernal pond at the edge right next to a dump. We're worried about runoff and damage to animals in the area from the dump, and like we've seen in oily film and stuff. We found frogs, tadpoles, salamanders, and a lot more around the camp, and I feel like it would be a really good chance to teach more people about the wildlife. It's like an important part of where we live, and not many people know about our environment. And having a nature center there, it would be opportunities for youth classes and field trips, and like hands-on things like, say, catching a salamander and actually being able to see it and then letting it out in its own habitat later that day. Camp Paradise, it's just a generally really nice location, and we have ideas about the nature center, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa, and thank you actually to all 3 of you. It's always wonderful to have young people join us and to join us at the podium, so we appreciate you being here with us this evening. And happy birthday, happy almost 15th birthday. Our next speaker who had signed up for one of these spots is Diana Neithamer, so I'll invite you to the podium as well. And if you also would begin with your name and address for the record, and then when you hear Councilor Crowley's timer go off, if you would draw your remarks to a close. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Diana Needhammer. I live at 12 Pratt Avenue in Beverly, and I'm going to begin with a land acknowledgement. This program takes place on the unceded ancestral lands of the Naumkeag and Pawtucket bands of the Massachusetts tribe, from whom the Commonwealth of Massachusetts took its name. With deep respect and gratitude, we acknowledge the indigenous caretakers of these lands and waters who have lived here for thousands of years and who live here in diverse indigenous communities today. Moving on to concerns about flock. I want to start by thanking the council sincerely again for the joint committee meeting held on April 21st and attended by more than 80 residents who are concerned about flock license plate reader cameras. I continue to hear from residents who are concerned about flock, and my own concern remains unabated. I have a paper petition that was signed by more than 100 residents who want Flock's contract with Beverly canceled. This, despite the fact that there is a lot of confusion around Flock and how their cameras are used. Many people insist wrongly that Beverly's Flock data was never shared. If you have not seen the audit of Flock data released in response to a public records request on April 17th, I would love to share it with you. It shows Beverly's data being shared with out-of-state law enforcement agencies monthly, not hundreds of times, not thousands of times, but tens of thousands of times per month. These warrantless searches are in violation of our Fourth Amendment rights. I ask the council to schedule a follow-up meeting or pass a resolution as soon as possible to stand with the residents of Beverly. More information can be found at tinyurl.com/bevvlog. We have a QR code for those following at home, or the ACLU's website. I'm also happy to meet to discuss this issue. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Niethamer, for being here with us. And we do have time, I think, for our third public speaker as well. Jessica Cagle, I'll invite you as well to the podium. If you'd begin with your name and address for the record, and if you, similarly, if you hear Councilor Crowley's timer go off, if you would just draw your remarks to a close. Thank you.
My name is Jessica Cagle of 8 May Street, and I'm the Director of Kestrel Educational Adventures. Firstly, I would like to thank the whole city of Beverly for conserving so many splendid wild and natural areas. With Kestrel, I've enjoyed providing programming to over 2,000 children, several hundred from Beverly, each year for over 20 years as they joyfully discover our beautiful wild lands. As you might know, Kestrel and our allies have made a proposal to open a free public nature center focused on wetlands at Camp Paradise at no cost to the city. When we first suggested this idea, Kestrel was in need of a home. We now have a lovely downtown office where we've been for over almost 2 years. We are advocating this proposal entirely because we strongly believe that Beverly needs a nature learning center that is free and accessible to all. I believe, and hundreds of residents have already signed on an agreement, that Camp Paradise is the only realistic location for this facility. We have many people waiting for the promised public meeting so they can turn out in support of the proposal. Did you want to come up? In the meantime, I am concerned about the current use and treatment of wetlands I'm concerned about the current use and treatment of wetlands in the city of Beverly, seemingly often based on lack of awareness. The reason for existing wetlands protections is that wetlands are often misunderstood. To the uninitiated, they look like muddy puddles. Some wetlands are seasonally dry, unrecognizable in summer or winter. As a result, wetlands are often mistreated or overlooked. They can look like convenient places to dump brush on the one hand, or projects to mow and neaten up on the other. But wetlands are essential because most of our amphibians are hatched, reptiles hunt and bask, and all our dragonflies, mayflies, and many other beautiful insects get their start in wetlands. Even if you don't like any of those animals, we all depend on wetlands. They provide an enormous amount of food energy to the surrounding forest, fueling predators like owls, hawks, and foxes, who in turn control pests in our city. Wetlands are protected by state and federal law, and Beverly purchased Camp Paradise to protect it because its wetlands are so sensitive and valuable. Within the past year, I've witnessed wetlands on Beverly public lands, including Camp Paradise, Bartlett Gardens, and others, suffer damages that are hard for them to recover from. There's been salt dumping, and baby turtles and frogs run over on the Camp Paradise Road. A compost dump placed much, much too close to an active spotted salamander breeding pond. I've watched the wetland at Bartlett Gardens that is meant to have a 100-foot no-disturb zone get repeatedly mowed all the way to the edge and also be used for leaf dumping waste. Even after I've reported this during baby toad season. Education makes a big difference. It's often the only thing that does. It's not enough not to develop the wetlands. We need to understand them. I'm accompanied by Dr. Dorothy Borse, aquatic ecologist and professor at Gordon College, who has been studying the wetlands at Camp Paradise with her students and is working on certifying the vernal pool. And they have also observed the vibrant life of the vernal pools and the red maple swamp and the problems of the runoff and trash, and she supports action to use the wetlands as an educational opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cagle, for being here as well. Thank you again to all three of our public speakers who signed up to comment this evening. Thank you also for your flexibility. I know that those comment spots can sometimes mean that you are waiting through different parts of the meeting, and we appreciate you being here with us. You are, of course, welcome to stay for as much of the meeting as you would like, and feel free to go as you need as well. Ms. Kirker, this brings us to 7:50, so we will open our public hearing posted for 7:50. This is on order 129.
Order number 129, City of Beverly ordered that the City Council of the City of Beverly hold a public hearing on Monday, May 4th, 2026 at 7:50 p.m. at 191 Cabot Street, third floor, council chambers, relative to National Grid petition number 313-02639 to install underground facilities on Chase Street/West Dane Street. And this was published in the paper Monday, April 27th, 2026.
Thank you very much. I know we have a National Grid rep here with us, so I'll invite you to the podium. And if you would begin by just sharing anything that you have that you'd like to give us as context for this order, we appreciate it.
Sabita Mahaber-Shihi, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts. This should actually have been an amendment to a location. We are trying to upgrade the infrastructure at this location. Presently, the service that comes from the pole that feeds the underground is insufficient, so we would like to upgrade that.
Thank you. So just as a clarifying question, you're saying, you're letting us know that rather than this being a new install, this is an upgrade to existing
Correct.
service. Okay, thank you. Councilors, are there any questions on this order? Councilor Spang.
Thank you, Madam President. Do you know about how long this work will take to complete?
An hour, maximum 4 hours.
Okay, and it involves a manhole that's already in existence. You don't need to add anything to the streetscape, correct?
We will be upgrading 2 conduit sizes. So the 2 conduits that are there will stay. We'll put in 2 new to swap over the 2, and then we'll get rid of the other 2 conduits.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Are there any other questions from the council on this order? I was going to say, you look thoughtful down there. That's why I keep looking. Yeah, Councilor Spang.
Do you have to dig to do those conduits?
Yes,
Okay, so you're going to dig that little portion of the street?
correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions from members of the council? There are no members of the public signed up to speak on the sign-up sheet for this public hearing, but are there members of the public here who wish to speak in this public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close this public hearing and refer that back to our Committee on Public Services for further action this evening. Thank you very much. We do have a few minutes now, Ms. Kirker. Let's work our way through some of the agenda here before we take that last public hearing, and then we'll go to our presentation. We'll go to acceptance of minutes of previous meetings. We have 5 sets of meeting minutes that we can approve this evening. There are minutes from our Public Services Subcommittee meeting from March 16th, 2026. Minutes from our Finance and Property Subcommittee meeting from April 6th, 2026. Minutes from our Legal Affairs Subcommittee meeting, April 6th, 2026. Minutes from our Public Services Subcommittee meeting, April 6th, 2026. And minutes from our Special City Council meeting, April 29th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve these 5 sets of meeting minutes? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Those carry 8-0, and they are approved. Let's go to communications from His Honor the Mayor, please, Ms. Kirker.
Order number 132, an appointment for Matthew A. Herget, 140 Essex Street, to serve on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services. Let's go to communications from other city officers and boards, please.
Order number 133, Community Preservation Committee, 13th round CPA project funding recommendations.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property to set a public hearing.
Order number 134, Finance Director Brian Ailes, a request to use fiscal year 2026 appropriated funds towards the payment of one prior year invoice totaling $796.59.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 135, City Clerk renewal application for a second-hand junk dealer license for Lena Nargosian Gallery, 130 Cabot Street, Unit 2.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 136, President Flowers, a recommendation for City Clerk salary for fiscal year 2027.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property. We can go to unfinished business from a previous meeting.
Order number 59, Councilor St. Hilaire, a request that the Parking and Traffic Commission review removal of a crosswalk at the intersection of Hale Street and Juniper Street in Beverly Farms.
Thank you. And Order 59 had been referred to Parking and Traffic as requested, and we did receive a letter back from the Parking and Traffic Commission, and that will be added to Order 59, has been added to Order 59, and so we'll refer that all to the Committee on Legal Affairs, please.
Order number 60, Councilor St. Hilaire, a request that the Parking and Traffic Commission review a traffic signage posted on Common Lane.
Order 60 as well was referred as requested to Parking and Traffic. The Parking and Traffic Commission has responded. That letter has been added to Order 60, and we'll refer that in its entirety back to Legal Affairs as well. We do have Order 61, which will remain under unfinished business from previous meeting. This is the request from Councilor Milady and Councilor St. Hilaire to hold a public meeting on the city's utilization plan for Camp Paradise. We heard a public comment about that, actually two, this evening. And as an update, I've tried to be updating us as we go along. The mayor's team, who are among those asked to be invited, are very willing to have this meeting with us. One of the key members of that team who would be integral to such a meeting has been out following surgery, so we'll get that scheduled as soon as he is back and available. And we have Order 127. This is the order filed by Councilor Rotundo to initiate the process of naming Met Ziegler Way, proposed to be named Met Ziegler Way at Beverly Golf and Tennis. This remains here because it is in the midst of the required process to name city property. Councilor Rotundo, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say about that at this point. Thank you. Part of that process means that public comment can be received on the proposal to name Met Ziegler Way as such, and that can be submitted to the city clerk's office if members of the public would like to offer comment on that proposal. So we do have just a few minutes before our next public hearing, so I'd entertain a motion for just a 2-minute recess. All those in favor? Thank you. We'll be back in 2 minutes for that final public hearing and then our presentation. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We'll call the full council back to order following that recess. And it is 8 o'clock, so that means that we can take our final public hearing, and then we'll go to that presentation from the SCSD team, again with our thanks for your patience. Let's officially open that posted public hearing on Order 124, Ms. Kirker.
Order number 124, City of Beverly, ordered that the City Council of the City of Beverly hold a public hearing on Monday, May 4th, 2026 at 8 p.m. at 191 Cabot Street, 3rd floor, Council Chambers, relative to an approval request for an interdepartmental transfer of $190,000 to support the required shift coverage cost for the fire department during fiscal year 2026. And this was published in the paper Monday, April 27th.
Thank you very much. I know we have our City Finance Director, Mr. Ailes, is at the podium and ready to go. And as I mentioned, we also have our Fire Chief, Chief O'Connor, here with us. Thank you, Chief. Mr. Ailes, we'll go right to you to get things started.
Thanks. And we're both here to answer any questions you might have about the specifics of this request. But it's not uncommon for us throughout the fiscal year to realign appropriated funds. This is one of those cases where a particular department had some unexpected happenings within their staff, which prompted some overutilization of some overtime beyond the budgeted amount. And we've identified 6 areas in other areas of the budget that are underspending. And so we're looking to reallocate those available funds to the fire department to support shift coverage costs to carry that spending through the end of the fiscal year and properly align our budget. This is not, for those of you that haven't been through this before, this is not a request for any additional money that hasn't already been appropriated. It's within the appropriation limits that were set back last June. And so we're just looking to reallocate it. But we're here to answer any questions you may have about specifics.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ailes. Councilors, are there questions? Councilor Sonia, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I appreciated hearing from Mr. Perry on this issue. I'm not so concerned about this specific request. I guess I'm more questioning future allocations. As Mr. Perry pointed out to us in his memo to the City Council, I think this is maybe the 4th year in a row where a reallocation was required. I'm wondering just sort of about future planning as it relates to this allocation and your plan to avoid this conversation next year, I guess.
Yeah, I can, the chief's here too, and he can speak to some of the unique aspects to what happened this year. But in previous years where we may have appropriated, say, $600,000 in FY25 or FY24 and spent $634,000 or $675,000, those are examples of times where the chief is able to, within his own budget, reallocate resources. And that doesn't necessarily require a council action because you've appropriated an amount of money to run the fire department, and he has the ability, with the mayor's approval, to reallocate within his budget as he sees fit. So typically, in a typical year, if we have overages in these areas, chief will make other types of operational decisions to try to make money available within his budget to reallocate. In this particular case, we knew early on that we were a little tighter than we would like to be. There are years where chief will underspend this line. That wasn't the case this year, and he can probably get into some of the specifics. Going forward, we know we need to reset this line. So when you do see the request for the FY27 budget, there will be an adjustment upwards of this requested particular line within the fire department. So you can expect to see that.
Thank you, Mr. Ailes. Chief.
This was definitely an odd, unfortunate year for us. Obviously, when I build a budget, I can't just ask for $800,000 in overtime if I don't believe I'm going to need that from the gate. I build the overtime budget based on what I see for my current staffing levels, who I expect to retire. I cannot, unfortunately, get a handle on everybody that's going to be out for injuries. We've had 12 people out for extended periods of time this year, and they're all real injuries. Unfortunately, we collectively have a job where we can't come to work if we have an injury that's consistent with somebody else that might be able to go to work. So from knees to shoulders to ankles, you name it, we've had, like I said, more than 12 people out. One of the big things that caught me off guard this year, it's unfortunate, sometimes it happens, we talked about it a little bit with the dispatch earlier this year, was we had 2 folks that left us in August. They left for the Chelsea Fire Department. And what that does, if you can imagine, we're staffed, or at the beginning of the year, we're staffed at 16 personnel per shift. That's 11 firefighters, 3 lieutenants, a captain, and a deputy on each group. When we get below 13, we have to start using overtime, because that's 13 is the magic number. I got to have at least 13 people on trucks to respond to all the calls. That's only 1 engine in 3 parts of the city and 1 ladder for the entire city. So I can't get below that number. When we lost those 2 people in August, that meant for the rest of the year, nearly, 2 of my groups are now running at 14. And then we have somebody lose a knee. That means 3 of my groups are running at 15, are running at 15. Then I have a shoulder, I have something else. And then it starts getting to another group. So instead of having 4 groups at 16 and 15, now I have a group at 14. And now if regular vacation time or anything like that, we really get into the overtime more quickly. So we obviously, I hate to see any of my folks get hurt. That's the worst for me. But we do have one of those jobs that there's usually, tell you people carrying the jaws of life, 50 pounds, 60 pounds each, putting it back in the truck. We have an injury from that sort of thing. And not everything that we do is ergonomically perfect. We have the whole lifting with the legs, not the back. Sometimes when we're moving on an incident scene, we're not able to do that. So we do see some injuries from that sort of things. And they're just, on the line of work, they're kind of unavoidable. This year, they just happened all at once, all right? Throughout the year, this has been going on for us. And like I said, it's unfortunate, but it's not something that I see recurring over and over. But that's where that first initial number come from. And I know Mr. Rotondo, Councilor Rotondo asked me earlier, is this going to be enough money for this year? And I said, if everybody shows up to work, we'll be fine. But we don't always have that ability. So that's where we sit right now.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that context. Really helpful, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sonia. Are there other questions from members of the council on this one? Councilor Houseman.
I know we have a memo from Mr. Perry, but I guess I'd be interested to hear if there's anything you'd want to add in addition to his written recommendation.
Mr. Perry, thank you for being here this evening. Anything that you would like to add?
Good evening, Madam President, members of the council. Yeah, a couple quick thoughts. I did thank you, Councilor Sonia, who always says thank you when I send him something in the email, so I appreciate that. So yeah, everything that you heard is accurate in my view. This is, and I'm going to get into a little historical stuff in a couple of minutes. I do recommend you do this. The money is there. I did personally review the municipal system, so the money's there. They're all, so we can do this. You don't want to go into deficit. If you don't do this, you're going to have to probably lay some people off. We don't want to do that, and you can't carry a deficit to the end of the year. So my recommendation is to do that. But I agree with what Councilor Sonia brought up is, and I talked a little bit in my memo about the actual expenditures. You saw the numbers on the second page of my document. Last year, we had the collective bargaining agreement with the fire department, and we pumped money into that. That's normal. There's no big deal. There was no transfer from outside other entities for the fire department last year. However, in May of 2024, we had a transfer from various funds, $58,250 to cover their overtime budget 2 years ago. 3 years ago, we did a similar exercise where we transferred $140,000 from other line items unspent, as Mr. Ailes indicated, into the fire department to make sure we don't have a deficit. And then going way back to before the chief's tenure even, back in January of 2019, based on my records, we took $235,000 from the police dispatch to go to the fire alarms. It wasn't so much overtime, but fire alarms, and there was just some labor. So I think the point I'm trying to raise here tonight is the one I'm concerned about is the budget for FY27. You can see they need $810,000 just to get through this year. Keep in mind, next July 1, we get another third, I think it's the third year of the collective bargaining agreement, am I correct? Which means the salaries are going up, the time and a half is going to cost more, and it's cost us $810 this year. So the police department, if you looked at my quarterly budget to action reports, they also ran short on their overtime account, but at least the chief was able to take it from other line items internally, did not require coming to you folks, and as such, I think he took it away from training, if I'm not mistaken. Bottom line to this, it's really not for tonight. it's for you to reflect on this, how we allocate our budget and the resources throughout, whether it's schools, public safety, administration, what it doesn't matter the case. I bring this to your attention, a little history here, so that you understand how difficult it's going to be for next year. We know we needed 810 this year. Is it possible next year the chief won't have as many injuries? Or I think, and he was really good taking my call, I appreciate it, but he already knows, I think, of a couple of retirements or people, so he's got to build some of this stuff in. And I just think it's important, from my perspective, that you understand that I don't think we're really properly budgeting the public safety departments, in my view. As you also know, we had $160,000 that had to be transferred into the dispatch this year too. So that's a $350 transfer into public safety to maintain services, which is important. We have to do that. It's one of the mission-critical core responsibilities of government, here in municipal government. So I ask you to think about it, ponder it. I hope that under the leadership of Councilor Feldman, when we get to the public hearings in June, I ask you to ask these questions. Is it going to be enough? Are we going to have to come back? These are the things that I'm concerned as your budget analyst, and as such, I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments at this time? Okay. There are no members of the public that signed up to speak in this public hearing, but are there members of the public here who wish to speak in this public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close this public hearing and refer this back to the Committee on Finance and Property for further action. Thank you very much, Mr. Ailes, and thank you, Chief, for being here for this hearing with us. And now, with great thanks and appreciation for the patience, the team from SCSD has been patiently waiting for their presentation time. We would love to invite you to come up and offer that presentation, and thank you again for your flexibility with us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Parsons. I'm chairman of the South Essex Sewerage Board. Here tonight is Dave Michelson, who is our executive director and chief computer operator. And Kristen Kolick is our general counsel from the firm of Currenty Kolick in Salem. And we also have Mike Collins, who is Beverly's representative on the district board. South Essex faces some really significant financial challenges that have the potential to limit our ability to function per our mandate. We recognize at the same time that our communities, all of them, are facing many funding issues, but we would be remiss if we didn't bring our concerns forward and search for a solution, even though, as you'll see, the solutions come at a very high price tag. You'll hear from my presentation that the district is seeking an exemption from the limitations of Proposition 2.5. We've made similar presentations to our district state legislative delegation. We did it to a smaller group of community leaders. We were in Peabody 10 days ago, maybe, and we're here tonight, and we will also speak similarly to the other members of the district. In the end, after we complete all our presentations, we will be coming back. We've been requested by the legislative delegation to request a resolution from this board in support of our request for assistance with dealing with Proposition 2.5. Our agenda is shown up there on the board. When we talk about costs, you need to recognize that we have two broad categories: operating costs and then capital improvements to replace the equipment and pipelines that we already have. And lastly, we'll talk briefly about the legislation. Next, Dave. By way of just a little history, South Essex is really a wholesaler. Each community delivers its wastewater to our pipelines and pump stations, and we process it, treat it, and discharge it into Salem Sound. The pipelines in your city streets are owned and operated by the city, and you get all of these costs are passed on to your users through your sewer rate structure. South Essex issues assessments to the communities throughout the year. This shows the history over about 27 years. The top line shows the total assessment. It's been relatively level at $25 million for quite some time. And the reason we were able to do that Although the middle line is our operating cost, which has been increasing annually, that's subject to Proposition 2.5. Our debt from a major plant expansion back in the 90s has been paid off at the same time, and so the sum of those two bottom lines is why we've maintained level assessments for 27 years. So when we think about operating costs first, this is a pie chart of our FY27 budget, which has already been approved. If you focus on that lower left-hand corner, which I like to call yellow, but it doesn't look that yellow today, those are operating expenses. Doesn't include labor, just operating expenses like electricity, power, chemicals, and residuals disposal. Residuals are the solids that get removed from the wastewater stream as our process of cleaning it up. To give you a sense of the quantity of residuals, just about every night, 3 tractor-trailer loads leave our treatment plant site under the auspices of a contractor for transportation and disposal. It's a huge quantity of material. Out of our current budget of $26 million, we currently pay about $4.5 million for residuals disposal. We're under a contract that was written 10 years ago. We're in year 11 of the contract, the last year, for residuals disposal. Very favorable contract to the district. It was adjusted according to the Consumer Price Index, whereas residuals disposal costs have gone up multiples of the CPI. This time next year, we'll have taken bids for sludge disposal, residuals disposal for FY28. 27's okay, FY28. We expect the cost to go up $1.5 to $2 million just for residuals disposal. So you'll see in a minute, we just can't fit that into our budget. And if you go to the next slide, Dave, this bar chart shows how our costs that get funded under Proposition 2.5, the increasing blue line, are distributed, and I'll only focus on the 2028 bar chart. The blue is our operating costs, including what we expect to see for an increase in residuals disposal of $1.5 to $2 million. The orange-yellow color above is debt service that's not exempt from Proposition 2.5. We have taken out loans to do some types of repairs. That's not exempt from 2.5. And then the green block at the top was money that we historically used to upgrade certain pieces of equipment that just became obsolete and we couldn't function without them. But you'll see that our operating budget touches on the Prop 2.5 limit line with no money for debt payment. And of course, we can't do that. We have to pay the debt payment. So without relief from 2.5, we're going to struggle mightily to come up with a budget that allows us to continue with our mandate. So that was the operating side of the picture. Capital costs, I mentioned that the treatment plant was expanded in the 90s. A lot of equipment was replaced at that point. All that equipment is 30 years old now. Much of it's obsolete. We can't find replacement parts. If you think about electronic controls, what worked 30 years ago doesn't work now. People don't provide replacement parts or even service. So our maintenance folks are doing a wonderful job holding everything together, but it won't last forever. And in addition to that, so we've identified a few key projects that certainly need to be done, either to replace obsolete equipment or improve efficiencies. But the top one is really important to Beverly, and it's the pipeline that crosses from Water Street over to Salem Willows and to our treatment plant. It's a single pipeline. We know from investigating similar pipes that it's nearing the end of its useful life. We certainly don't want a circumstance where that pipe fails under the harbor. That did happen 10 years ago in Marblehead, so it can happen. We can't undertake that project without debt relief from Proposition 2.5. And it's the same for a whole host of other projects. Dave? So about 3 years ago, we retained the services of some consultants to help us identify capital improvement needs at the district for the next 20 years. And they came up with a very extensive plan. We divided it into 4 groups, each 5 years long. The first group is 20 projects, you'll see, the second line down, and $150 million. Very significant, but if you remember the previous slide, projects cost on the order of $30 million. It's just very expensive to maintain the equipment of the size and complexity that we have to deal with. We're also looking at trying to get exemption for funding for Group 2, which is another $228,000. Or if you include those plus program management, we're talking about $390 million over 10 years. It's a huge price. All projects that probably should be undertaken at the moment, but we've put some priority to them. Dave? So what's that mean to your assessments and to all the communities? We retained the services of the Collins Center. Many of you may be familiar with that. It operates out of UMass Boston. They do a lot of municipal consulting. They're expert in municipal finance. They've given us a lot of assistance. They've taken our cost numbers and they've worked them so that we have a prediction of what might happen to each community if we are allowed to increase our operating budget and undertake these capital programs. So if you look at the top line, the increase in the operating budget initially would be $390,000 for the city. To put that in perspective, if you look at the bottom line in that table, Beverly's current assessment is $5.3 million. We have a $25 million budget, $26 million budget, and you pay about a fifth. Those costs would increase to about $760,000 by FY32. If you look at the capital projects, replacing equipment, the first few years, we're paying only interest on bond anticipation notes. That might be about $165,000, but then when we go to permanent financing, it would be an additional $2 million in your assessment that would end up on your sewer rates. And the numbers for Group 2 are also there. These clearly point out the need for grants and subsidized interest rates. The state has a program called the State Revolving Fund that we've used whenever possible, which is a low-interest program. It also has some debt relief in it. It was used extensively 30 years ago. We're told we can't really count on that very much. There's a lot of competition and less funding. So the Collins Center really looked at other types of funding for this. And the concept of grants only applies, while we're on the topic, grants really only applies lately to energy improvements that come through the electric utilities. There are no grants just for improving equipment at a wastewater plant. Okay. So, as I said at the beginning, we're looking for relief from Proposition 2.5. As a result of our meeting with the community leaders, they asked for us to provide some controls over the cost increases. These are still very big cost increases, but they do provide some level of control. We're looking to, on the operating side, to increase our budget ceiling, our 2.5 budget ceiling, from $26 million to $30.5 million. That's an increase of $4.5 million. It's a big number, but if you think back to what we're likely to pay for increased residuals disposal at $1.5 to $2 million, almost half of it's gone in preparing our FY28 budget. Other costs are going up similarly, just like they are in this city. And we're hoping that that budget ceiling of 30.5 will last 5 to 7 years, at which time the projections say we'll hit it at that point, and we'll be back asking for more help. But that's the reasoning behind that 30.5 million. For debt relief, on the capital side, we're looking for the full $390 million. That's a 10-year plan. Bear in mind, all of these expenses get approved by our board, which is your representatives to our board. That's another control you have. The other items that we're looking for in the legislation, we have a cap on our stabilization fund. It's been at $2 million for quite a while. Unfortunately, $2 million doesn't buy a lot of emergency repairs. In fact, we had one a couple of years ago that was $4 million. Now, we didn't have to tap the stabilization fund because we were operating under a state revolving loan, and we were able to include it in that loan. So now we're paying the debt service on it. But things are expensive to repair these days. And lastly, our legislation, founding legislation, was from 1925, and there's certainly references in there that need to be updated to today's time. So that's what we're looking for. That's what management has offered as our request for relief through special legislation. The other point I'd like to make is that last bullet. Other sewer districts, sewer authorities are not subject to Proposition 2.5. We are very specifically included in a group that is, but MWRA is not. Springfield Water and Sewer Commission is not. A small district was formed in Mansfield, Foxborough, and Norton 10 years ago. Their legislation specifically exempts it from Proposition 2.5. And then any community that owns and operates its own wastewater plant and funds it through an enterprise fund is not subject to Proposition 2.5. So we're not asking for something that's unique here. And it's clear it's needed by other authorities. So the consequences, we're pretty sure that when we get the residuals bids a year from now, we will not be able to pull together an adequate FY28 budget. And then things just get worse from there. And if you think about our operations, the two big sectors in our operation are the operating staff. That's governed by state. They have a minimum staffing plan that we follow. And the other is maintenance. And right now, our maintenance staff, as I said, is doing a great job. They're out straight. But if we had to make a cut, more than likely, it would be from the maintenance side, just when it's the worst time to do it. Our equipment, as I said, is becoming obsolete. We actually machine replacement parts because we either can't find them or they're too expensive. It's not the time to cut the maintenance staff. Without getting too melodramatic here, this inevitably will lead to reduced plant reliability and performance, likely permit violations for sure. One consequence is water quality impacts to Salem Sound. But then on the regulatory side, certainly some level of penalties, fines, or an EPA, federal government DOJ consent order. And that's what the district went through 30 years ago. And the conventional wisdom is you're better off taking care of your own problem rather than having a regulatory authority telling you what to do. So that's why we're trying to get these actions underway. As far as timeline, we're running out of time. We had a much more aggressive schedule set up 6 months ago, but these issues are complicated and it's taken some time for the communities to get their arms around them. We, as I said, will be completing our public presentations halfway through this month, and then we hope to get supporting resolutions from legislative boards like yours, and then get the legislation filed in both the Senate and the House by the end of the year. It's a tight schedule, but that's what we're left with at the moment. And so with that, completes my presentation, and if it's appropriate, I'd certainly be willing to take questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parsons. Thank you again for all of you for your flexibility and your patience. Councilors, we will take some questions, understanding that this is an initial presentation. There's a second component. We will not spend the whole of our night on it, but I'll take some questions now, and then we'll have a chance for further conversation, I'm sure, as we continue in this journey. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a lot of questions to simplify to the ratepayers, but I want to actually see if Mr. Perry could give his opinion on this. He's had a lot of experience with these type of things.
Mr. Perry, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilor Rotundo. So the first time I really got wind of all this was a week ago when I saw it in the Salem Evening News. I heard some rumbling about it, but I have not, as your budget analyst, really looked at anything. I haven't been provided a lot. I've gotten a whole bunch of stuff over the weekend, and I've been on the phone and talked to several people to do the best I can to address whatever we're going to do tonight. So some general thoughts. One, I'm not surprised how expensive all this stuff is. It is. And I'm not surprised that under the tenets of Proposition 2.5, they can't do it. So I think on a larger scale, I'm not surprised. I can't quantify that because I haven't seen the documentation yet. And I've talked to Commissioner Collins, and I'm more than happy to look at anything they were willing to provide me. Their time schedule is more than aggressive. I think we all agree it's not going to happen by the end of July with the legislature. I'm fairly confident of that one. But, then they go in an informal session through the fall, so it's going to be difficult. I'm a little worried even trying to get 28 done if we do this. I don't know what the impact is yet on the city of Beverly. I'm more than happy if the Commissioner Collins will work with him to look at some numbers. We can get you some more information in the immediate future if that information is provided. Things like the Collins Center report, things of that nature. I have not seen any of this stuff. But one thing I do want to bring to your attention that has grabbed me is I received a copy of a draft legislation, the special legislation. I don't know, this is the most recent one. I only have one. Again, I don't have a lot of information. But what I did read kind of grabbed my attention a little bit here. And I talked to Commissioner Collins. I had a lengthy conversation today with Representative Bowen on this issue too. And many of you know, but not everyone knows, in my prior life before I came to you guys, I was involved with a lot of deficit legislation at the Department of Revenue, where we would craft legislation to meet the needs of communities that got in a lot of problems like Springfield, Lawrence, Winchendon, Fall River, other places. And we would sit around at the DOR, the finance people and legal people, and we would work to try to come up with a good model. In each situation is a little bit different, but we would try to come up with legislation that we thought worked. In this case, as I understand it, and if I'm wrong, please someone correct me, I think we haven't gone to that level of seeking the advice of the experts on finances now. This is not an engineering conversation, it's a finance conversation. That's what this legislation is attempting to do with the exemption of Prop 2.5, as well as exempting the debt. In my opinion, based on my own experience of years gone by, I have advised Representative Bowen, I've advised Commissioner Collins, and I now advise you all that I'm not comfortable with this legislation as currently proposed. It's my belief we have to put more guardrails in there, more regulatory oversight into the legislation to protect the ratepayers, not only of Beverly, but of every place else. It's not that they're not doing any of these things. I just think we have to have a more robust conversation on the legislation, because you're going to take phone calls from your constituents when this comes in, and you have to, at least I think, it's important to be able to tell them that we put additional safeguards to monitor the finances of SCSD. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong or illegal or immoral, it's just another gateway. As an example, they do not set tax rates at the SCSD. They don't send a tax rate recap in. They do not do the balance sheet sent to the Department of Revenue for certification of free cash or whatever the case may be. They're not required to do it. I want to be clear on that. It's not like they're doing anything illegal or immoral. That's not the case at all. But I think this and some other safeguards, I mean, this is not the evening to talk about the specifics of this, needs to be included to protect the ratepayers. That is my advice to everybody listening to me. My other advice is that, as I told Representative Bowen and Commissioner Collins tonight, no matter what they send to the legislature, they're going to take this document and bring it over to DOR, and they're going to look at it, and they're going to play with it, and it goes back and forth. My advice to the SCSD people is to be proactive and go, before you submit it to the legislature, into DOR. The legislative delegation will get them in the door, I can guarantee you that, and they have templates on this stuff. They can give you more advice on this stuff. They are the experts. And again, I did this stuff myself back in the old days here, but I think that's the right approach to protect them. I'm not disagreeing with the needs of SCSD. My instincts tell me that that's accurate, but I think we can make this legislation better. The other thing I'd say, and again, I really don't know what's going on with much of it, but one of the things that grabbed my attention was, should we or should we not consider a peer review? They've had consultants come in. I don't even know. I haven't read the reports. I don't know what's going on. But, that's something I think we should talk about at a later time. It's not for this evening. But would a peer review give more credibility to the requests that SCSD is asking if we had another set of eyes looking at stuff? So it's something to think about as well. Could even be built into the legislation if you wanted to. Madam President, members of the council, this is complicated stuff. My instincts tell me we're going to have to do something here. I just think we can make the widget a little bit better with some of the thoughts I'm sharing with you tonight. And with that, if anybody has any questions of me, I'm happy to do that, or if not, I'm more than happy to sit down again.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. And I think, just to be clear, for the council as well, we're not intending to act on anything tonight. This is the first presentation we're hearing, so we'll do some further questions, but I think Mr. Perry makes a good point. There's more for us to learn, more for us to discuss, but I just want members of the public and the council to be very comfortable that we're not moving forward with any specific ask this evening. So if there are other questions, just as we're hearing this and learning for the first time as we begin this process, Mr. Perry, thank you for that assessment, and thank you for your willingness to continue to be in that conversation with us as well. Are there other questions at this point from members of the council? Councilor Houseman.
Just a quick comment that if the authorizing legislation for SCSD is as old as I understand it to be, as much as we're facing a problem here financially, it's also an opportunity in the special legislation to modernize and update SCSD's authorizing legislation and build in the process, as Mr. Perry mentioned, more guardrails for the ratepayers, and perhaps have improvements in financial management tools that are incorporated as a ordinary course in going forward for the SCSD. So it's a problem that we face, but it is also an opportunity if we can be forward-looking about the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Houseman. It's a good observation. Thank you. Are there other questions or comments at this point from the council? Okay. Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Parsons. Thank you to the SCSD team. And thank you again for your flexibility and your patience. I think it's clear that we'll continue to be in conversation about this. And we appreciate that you've been here tonight to give us this first presentation, which is very helpful and a good entry point to this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilors, I would entertain a motion to take a brief break for some subcommittee work. All those in favor? Thank you. Let's have legal affairs in the committee room, please. Finance and property here in the council chamber, and public services in the hall, please. yourself.
Every time. The subcommittee meeting for finance and property. And we have 4 items on our agenda today. So first, we'll just get this out of the way. Order number 133. This is regarding the Community Preservation Committee 13th round CPA project funding recommendations. We have been requested to set a public hearing. And so I would entertain a motion to set a public hearing for May 18th at 7:45.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And Madam Chair, if I may, for both you and the Council President, 2 of the grants that are included in here are grants that I've worked on and sponsored and advocated for, and probably will recuse myself from the vote on that when the time comes, just sort of a heads
Okay.
up on that.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. That is helpful. All right. Up next, we have order number 134, to whom the matter is referred regarding Finance Director Brian Ailes, a request to use FY 2026 appropriated funds towards the payment of one prior year invoice totaling $796.59. So, I guess I will leave this to other counselors if they're interested in asking a question first. I have my own, but.
I have no questions, and unless there are comments, I would make a motion to approve Order 134.
I would second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
I was wondering how that happened, but it's small potatoes, so we'll, that works. Okay. She's the,
Ms. Nguyen. It's planning.
yeah, that's where, okay.
Do we want an explanation after post?
We can at the committee of the whole, if anyone has any
Yes.
questions. I think that is appropriate. Okay. Order number 136. This is President Flowers' recommendation for the city clerk's salary for FY 2027. So, President Flowers, I know you wrote this, and before I ask any question, is there any discussion? Councilor Houseman, do you have anything to add to this recommendation?
No, I mean, I think the recommendation is in line, with other posts in the city. I think it's deserved, and so I don't really have any problems, or questions, I guess, about the recommendation as far as that goes.
For those following along at home, this is a request to increase the city clerk's salary for the upcoming fiscal year, and it's a 3% increase, and that's in line with other cost of living adjustment as well as other department heads that are within the financial plan moving forward and appropriate for the amount of work and longevity we've had here in the city with Ms. Kent. And also, the city council is who sets the city clerk's salary. We are the body that presents this option for, it's one of the unique one position that we actually make a salary recommendation for. So, with that being said, I would entertain a motion, to approve this application.
So moved.
Second, and may I just make one comment?
Yes, absolutely.
Which is just to say, I would like to say thank you also to Mr. Ailes, our city finance director, who was very willing to talk with me about what was likely to be expected for other department heads. Because as we know, FY 27 is a known challenging year, so I wanted to make sure that we as a council and our department, that we were being mindful of that and being responsible, fiscally responsible, while at the same time making sure that Ms. Kent, in her role as department head under the city council, was being kept on par with other department heads. Councilor Houseman, you mentioned her work, the work running the office, her tenure here, Councilor Feldman. So I wanted to lift that up, but thank you to Mr. Ailes for his willingness to be available to me. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I guess if I may, Madam Chairman, I have worked with a number of city clerks, and, I find Ms. Kent very easy to work with, organized, and just, extremely responsive to the council's needs in terms of, what we need professionally to do our work. So I think it's appreciated, certainly by myself, and I think the councils will support this.
I agree. Yes. We like Ms. Kemp. Yes. And the work that she does. Very important. So that being said, I think we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? All right. This is 3-0. And last on our list, we have order number 124. This is what the public hearing we had previously, an interdepartmental transfer of the $190,000 to support the shift cost coverage of the fire department during FY 2026. So, do my subcommittee members have anything further to ask this time?
I would just comment that I thought that the presentations and the chief's explanation providing context in response to Councilors Sonia's questions, followed by Mr. Perry, sort of speak to the need to approve this, as well as, obviously, I think we'll be looking, well, I won't speak for the rest of our committee, but looking for the budget that's forthcoming to make sure that it does adequately address what, the set of factors that we heard described tonight that are at play in the fire department.
Yes.
So I certainly support approving this order.
I have to agree, and I actually appreciate when it comes in May, so we remember this very easily for June when it comes to going over these budgets again. So it's top of the mind in our notes in terms of staffing and everything. Yes, Mr. Ailes.
Madam Chair, if I just make a quick comment about this, and I didn't want to tie up the public hearing with this, but, Mr. Perry made a few good points about the history of this, but we've got to keep in mind that it's kind of a balance because there's unknowns. We don't know what the activity is going to be. So if we over budget, we're effectively taking resources that we're taxing taxpayers on and putting it aside in that particular area at the cost of potentially another area that we're looking to fund. So there is a balance. Like, we want to be close and we want to kind of hit kind of the ballpark, but we don't want to put so much in there that it's at the cost of something else. I just wanted to make that point because, you're never going to get it right every time, but you just kind of got to be in the ballpark.
Right. Absolutely. We appreciate the close budgeting, so yes, President Flowers.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ailes, for that comment. That's been something that's been on my mind as we've been hearing and thinking about these many different issues, and hearing from you, Chief, about some of those unknowns that you can sometimes anticipate a retirement, cannot necessarily anticipate injuries or folks going to leave for another job opportunity at a different department. And one thing I've been very grateful to our fire chiefs for helping me understand better when I came on the council and even now is the sort of unique staffing required in a fire department as well, so that Chief, you alluded to it tonight, but an apparatus cannot run if the staffing drops below a certain number. So even though there might be 2 firefighters available, they can't run a truck by themselves. And I think that's been very helpful for me to think about, and so raises some of these variables. And so I appreciate that comment from Mr. Ailes that part of the work is trying to anticipate as closely as possible while also not grossly overestimating and locking up some of that funding that could go somewhere else. So just thank you for that comment. I've sort of been mulling that over. So.
Yes, Councilor.
Yeah, and perhaps, Mr. Ailes, you can remind us, and then I'd like to hear from Mr. Perry, if there's anything he'd like to add, remind us what the procedure is. If we had to, as a council, entertain a request by the administration to make a transfer that was not within this department, we have the ability to do that probably, what a 2/3 vote? So if you were to overshoot, in other words, on allocating money, there is a remedy for it.
There is. It would be potentially a transfer out because arguably we could undershoot in another area. Just as we're doing a transfer into this particular department, the reverse would be the case. I think if I understand your question.
Well, if I may, in other words, if you put too much money here and another department needs it, there is a remedy, there is a procedure, excuse me, for making that happen.
There is,
Right?
We're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just on the receiving
So-
end.
So either way, overshoot or undershoot, there's an approach to it. And if I may, I'd also like to hear from Mr. Perry for further comment on this. But
Could I just make a comment?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's germane to that. I appreciate that, Councilor Houseman, and do agree that there's a process if we were to overestimate. I think thinking about the entirety of the FY27 budget and knowing that it's going to have to meet a total number to come in balanced, I don't want to put words in Mr. Ailes' mouth, but I am assuming that that would be a concern, that grossly overestimating in one department, even though it could be moved later, would mean that the total number would have to, something else would have to be budgeted lower to make sure that the total budget was balanced. Is that correct? So we really do want to try to be as accurate as possible. Okay, thank you.
Okay, quickly, two things on that issue. This is very normal behavior, not only in Beverly, everywhere. I call it the shuffle. You know, you can't predict a year ago what's going to be happening in April, May, and June. So this is very normal stuff. So accept that for what it is. With regard to my comments about, you know, whether we were appropriating enough and the overtime count, everything Mr. Hill said, I agree with him 100%. What I'm trying to get you, I don't think we can afford 810 next year in that line item, but it's the estimate's going to have to come up. You can't predict. He can't predict somebody throwing their back out or breaking their knee or whatever the case may be. But I think it was 630 that we had in that line item this year. That's not going to cut it next year. 630 is not going to be enough. He's got to get in the sevens. And Mr. Ailes and I have discussed this. We're getting close to the same page. I think he's going to bring something to you in that line. My commentary is where we're doing it now is not going to work for next year. So that's why I bring that to your attention. Okay?
All right, with that, do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That passes 3-0. All right, that's all we have on our agenda for tonight. So with that,
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Woo, gavel.
Thank you very much. I'll call the full council back to order. And we will go to reports from committees. Ms. Kirker.
Order number 112, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom it was referred the matter regarding an appointment for Semi Bulbul 3 Quincy Park to serve on the Human Rights Committee, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the appointment.
And Mr. Bull is here with us this evening. Thank you very much. And I know you also have been very patient. Sometimes public meetings, the agendas can be very lengthy, even though they don't look it. And so thank you, Mr. Bull, for being here and staying with us all the way through the subcommittee time to meet with our subcommittee. Are there questions or comments on this one, councilors? The question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Aye. That carries 8-0, and so that appointment is approved. Mr. Bull, the next step for you is you will hear from the clerk's office, and they'll invite you to come in so you can be officially sworn in. And at that point, you will be set to go as a voting member of the Human Rights Committee. And we thank you very much for your willingness to serve on that committee as well. Thank you.
Order number 119, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom it was referred the matter regarding Darlene Wynn, Planning Director, proposed amendments to the Beverly Zoning Ordinance, Accessory Dwelling Unit Ordinance, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council refer the order to the Beverly Planning Board to hold a public hearing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kirker. So we will refer that matter to the planning board so that they can hold their portion of the public hearing. And we will receive a recommendation, at which point we can then receive that and make our final vote.
Order number 135, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom it was referred the matter regarding city clerk renewal application for a secondhand junk dealer license for Lena Nargosian, Gallery 130 Cabot Street, Unit 2, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the license be granted.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Aye. That carries 8-0. Thank you.
Order number 124, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom it was referred the matter regarding interdepartmental transfer of $190,000 to support the required shift coverage cost for the fire department during fiscal year 2026, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the request.
Are there questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Aye. That carries 8-0. And thank you again, Chief O'Connor, for being here with us this evening.
Order number 133, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom it was referred the matter regarding the Community Preservation Committee 13th round CPA project funding recommendations, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the request.
Oh, is this order 133, Ms. Kirker?
Yes,
I apologize.
133.
This is just set a public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
I apologize.
Order 133, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom it was referred the matter regarding Community Preservation Committee 13th round CPA project funding recommendations, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Set a public hearing for May 18th at 7:45.
Councilors, I would entertain a motion to set that public hearing as recommended by the subcommittee for our May 18th meeting at 7:45 p.m. All those in favor? Thank you. And Ms. Kirker, that was my fault. You asked me about that one, and I gave you the wrong answer when I looked quickly, so I apologize.
Thank you. Order 134, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom it was referred the matter regarding Finance Director Brian Ailes, a request to use fiscal year 2026 appropriated funds towards the payment of one prior year invoice totaling $796.59, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the request.
Are there questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Carries 8-0.
Order number 136, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom it was referred the matter regarding President Flowers, a recommendation for city clerk salary fiscal year 2027, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the request.
Are there questions or comments on this one? The question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Carries 8-0.
Order number 50, the Committee on Public Services, to whom it was referred the matter regarding a petition to install and maintain underground facilities on Friend Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the petition be granted with 11 conditions. Number 1, CRC Communications LLC DBA Go Net Speed. Go Net Speed shall mean and include Go Net Speed and its contractors, subcontractors, or any other person or entity working on its behalf or at its discretion, shall comply with all applicable City of Beverly ordinances, rules, and regulations. 2, Go Net Speed shall comply with the Dig Safe Law, Chapter 82, Section 40, through and including 40E of the Massachusetts General Laws and the Department of Public Utility regulations issued thereunder. 3, Go Net Speed shall comply with the Excavation and Trench Safety Law, Chapter 82A of the Massachusetts General Laws. 4, Go Net Speed shall comply with all orders or decisions issued by the city of any city or any city official pursuant to any city ordinance, rule, or regulation, any Massachusetts state statute or regulation, or any other legal authority authorizing said city official to issue an order, including an order to Go Net Speed, directing a halt to the work. 5, Go Net Speed shall excavate test pits along the proposed project to identify soil profiles and bedrock depth prior to any drilling or trenching. 6, Go Net Speed shall undertake all commercially reasonable efforts to use directional boring to install the proposed conduits. Shall Go Net Speed intend to trench instead, Go Net Speed shall notify the Commissioner of Public Services and Engineering and City Engineer of the good faith efforts it took, and the Commissioner may waive the need to directional bore upon an adequate showing by Go Net Speed of an undue practical hardship or other showing of lack of feasibility. 7, Go Net Speed shall repave any impacted street from curb to curb to the City Engineer Department standards. 8, Go Net Speed shall reconstruct any impacted sidewalk in full with material in kind to the City Engineer Department standards. 9, Go Net Speed shall relume and reseed any impacted grassy areas to the City Engineer Department standards. 10, in the event Go Net Speed removes or damages public shade trees, it shall replace those trees in consultation with the city arborist. In the event Go Net Speed removes a tree or bush on private property, it shall replace those trees or bushes in consultation with the property owner. 11, Go Net Speed shall guarantee the continuing health of any newly planted replacement trees and those subject to root cutting related to the work for a period of 2 years from the date of planting. Should impacted trees die or become substantially impaired during this 2-year period, as determined by the city arborist, Go Net Speed shall replace any impacted tree. This requirement shall be limited to a one-time replacement.
Thank you, Ms. Kirker. So this order was recommended for approval by the subcommittee with these 11 conditions attached that you just heard read by Ms. Kirker. Are there questions or comments? Councilor Stein.
Thank you, Madam President. And I just wanted to thank City Engineer Lisa Chandler and Project Manager Sean Ciancarelli, who I was remiss in not thanking last time for helping with the conditions about the National Grid petition, and Solicitor Old Mixon. And then I also want to thank Mayor Cahill, Commissioner Collins, and City Engineer Lisa Chandler for the time they spent doing the on-site visits with Go Net Speed, and for their assistance in working out the draft conditions for this petition.
Thank you very much, Councilor Spang. Councilor Rotundo.
Madam President, thank you. I just want to make a statement in regards to this being in my ward. I still have concerns. I'm definitely in favor and love to see competition coming into the city. It will allow our ratepayers to have choices, but there seems to be a little clunkiness to this process. You know, I'm witnessing now on Ashton Street, there's new poles being replaced where they said that the poles were the reasons why they were having issues. I'm seeing it on County Way. So throughout Ryleside, I'm seeing a lot of these poles being installed in preparation to accept this new service going in. But we've been told that they needed to put these conduits. So I'm still a little wary on the process. You know, at least with National Grid, we have a relationship with them and can hold them accountable GoNetspeed, we don't have a relationship with them. So again, I have concerns with this. I get it's a small, minute area that they're doing right now as a practice, but it is also going to be citywide. And so again, it's not that I'm not in favor of this GoNetspeed going forward. I have concerns with the way this process has been rolled out to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rotundo. Are there other questions? Oh, Councilor Feldman.
Yes, thank you. I actually, it's not my word, but I echo some of what Councilor Rotundo is saying, in that I was thinking in one of the meetings regarding this that, and I'm not sure how often this comes to pass, but it seems like there should be 2 levels, kind of a permitting or easement in place at some point for something like this. Maybe an exploratory permit where we can get all the details with actual facts, but in order to get the full permit, you have to issue the full permit without the set of facts that you're asking until they can assess the poles and and drill and everything. So I'm just wondering if there would be something procedurally that we might want to think about as a council to make that type of first step a little easier for all of us to get our questions answered, and all of the provider to possibly do any of the research they need to do on the site without the full permit being issued. Just a thought. I'm not sure if that is even feasible, but.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Houseman.
Yeah, a couple of comments. One is I do appreciate the work and want to second Councilor Spang's thanks to all the city engineering staff and other staff that have been involved in helping work through this process, all of the ones Councilor Spang named. Like, as Councilor Rotundo said, certainly I've heard from the constituents who have weighed in, people are looking to have competition. And so I think it's a good thing that GoNetspeed has decided that they want to try to provide that. A little bit different, though, in terms of responsiveness and how the system works. I have found the representatives of GoNetspeed to be very responsive in terms of answering questions and returning phone calls and so forth. And I do appreciate that the issue of double poles and GoNetspeed's need to have to work with and wait on Comcast, Verizon, and National Grid makes their permitting process very clunky, right? So I'm glad to see that only one of these permits is going forward now. I would ask the representative from GoNetspeed to give me a heads up when they're actually going to do the work, because I'd like to be on site and see what happens so I can understand it better. I've also been in touch with National Grid to talk with them about the process of double poles that may result from the work that GoNetspeed is doing. And, to Councilor Feldman's point, we may need to find a way in which we can apply some leverage to the other utilities to help make this process less clunky, because it is unwieldy for any new utility. It just happens to be GoNetspeed in this case, to come into the city and use these existing poles. The utilities do not have it seems, a lot of incentive to, maybe there's a good explanation for it. I can't see behind the curtain, if you will, but they do not seem to have place a high priority on moving wires once these permits are in. And maybe they're just juggling resources and that's their bandwidth. But I agree that the process could be better, and I'm glad to see that what we have here is sort of a test to the process on the ground to see what GoNetspeed does. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Houseman. And we can certainly request that GoNet Speed could notify the clerk's office when they are aware that this work would be beginning. And so then we could, councilors who want to be able to see that happening could go. So thank you. Are there other questions or comments on this order as amended by the addition of the 11 conditions, which was the recommendation from the subcommittee? Solicitor Olmixon, I don't know if there was anything that you wanted to add on this. Okay. Any questions for Solicitor Olmixon as well? Okay. Well, the question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order as recommended by the subcommittee with these 11 conditions that we heard Ms. Kirker read aloud. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. That carries 7-1.
Order number 129, the Committee on Public Services, to whom it was referred the matter regarding National Grid petition number 313-02639, install underground facilities on Chase Street and West Dane Street, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the petition be granted.
Other questions or comments on this one? And for those who may be just following along on BevCam and did not hear this public hearing happening, our National Grid rep let us know that although National Grid talked about installing underground facilities, this is actually an upgrade to service, to existing service, rather than a new installation. So just for anyone following along at this point, the question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye. That carries 8-0. Thank you. Thank you. Councilors, I'd like to return to Order 112. That is the appointment for Mr. Google. We heard that earlier. As you know, the Human Rights Committee has been struggling to maintain or get appointments for a full membership. And so we could consider a motion to reconsider this vote. And if it fails, that would mean that the 72-hour waiting period that the clerk's office has to hold orders by charter would be waived, and Mr. Bibble could be sworn in more quickly to begin that work with other members of the Human Rights Committee. So I would entertain a motion, if councilors are interested in pursuing that line of thought, to reconsider Order 112 in the hope that it fails. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. This is a motion to reconsider. So if you don't wish to change your vote on Order 112, you are voting no on the motion to reconsider. If you wish to have the opportunity to change the way you voted on Order 112, you would vote yes. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of reconsidering Order 112? All those opposed? So that fails 0-8. What that means, Mr. Bubble, you are now able to hear from the clerk's office sooner to be sworn in, and that would allow you to begin work on the Human Rights Committee, which we know the folks on that committee are doing very important work, and they've been short-staffed, and so we'll look forward to having you join them as well. That does bring us to the end of our agenda. Before I open up for reminders or announcements from the council, I just wanted to again thank our assistant clerk, Ms. Kirker, for helping running this meeting. Thank you, Ms. Kirker, for your work preparing the agenda and for stepping in and juggling while our city clerk, Ms. Kent, is recovering from surgery. And so it's been a pleasure to get to do these meetings with you, and just thank you for the work that you've done. We very much appreciate it. We also continue to wish our city clerk, Ms. Kent, smooth recovery following surgery, and look forward to her being back in the office soon. And both Ms. Kirker, Ms. Kent, and the other members of the clerk's office team definitely deserve our appreciation and our good wishes. This is Municipal Clerks Appreciation Week. So thank you to our clerks. And yeah. We know that there are lots of constituent-facing work that happens in the clerk's office, as well as the work of supporting the council, and of course, also running our elections. So thank you to that team for the good work they do every day. It's also Teacher Appreciation Week, and so our wishes, our best wishes, and our thanks and appreciation to all of the educators in Beverly and at all levels. And that includes, of course, our very own Councilor Milady. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you very much.
Forward to my gift.
Thank you for the work that you do. Yeah, we'll applaud you. And thank you, of course, to all of our Beverly educators for the work that you do every day. Are there other announcements or reminders? Counselor Feldman.
Yes, thank you. The the public update meeting, the next one is going to be Tuesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. at the Beverly Middle School Public Library. Doors open at 6:30.
Thank you very much, Counselor Feldman, for that announcement. Any other announcements or reminders from the council? Oh, Counselor Rotundo, please.
I don't know what I would not do without my colleague next to me. Thank you. There is a public meeting at Ayers Ryleside Elementary School on Wednesday night, 6:30 to 8 p.m. to begin the discussion of the trash that's going to be coming, of trash and recycling, and maybe some other things, but there is a meeting up at Ayers. That will be going to each neighborhood, but that's the first one to start, will be this Wednesday night.
Thank you very much, Counselor Rotundo. Counselor Spang.
And if you miss Ayers on Wednesday night, you can also come to City Hall on Thursday night for the same meeting.
Thank you very much, Counselor Spang. Counselor Feldman.
Don't worry, I'm not announcing Ward 5, but I had kind of had a question regarding that. Is there the possibility of the one that's in here being also on BevCam? Is that going to be official? Okay, I just had constituents ask, and I was hoping at least one of the meetings, since it's the same content, would be publicly available on BevCam. So, question answered. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And just for folks who are following along what the counselors are talking about, there is a series of community meetings that will be happening, one in each ward. The first one is in Ryleside, as Councilor Rotundo said. There'll be a Ward 2 one here in the council chambers happening the same week, and then unfolding across the city. This will be a presentation from the mayor and his team, and the ward councilors and at-large councilors will be there as well, to discuss upcoming changes to our trash and recycling program. So if you are able to attend, we welcome that, and if not, you can catch the BevCam footage of the one that will be here in council chambers. Are there any other announcements or reminders? All right, well, with that, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? That carries 8-0. We are adjourned. Our thanks to Kim in the BevCam booth. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and thank you very much. Good night. We are adjourned.